Hello.
Well, we're back.
Oh, you can't be using well. That's my tagline. Find your
I
own,
like
will
it
you?
though. I just really like it. I don't know. I'll have to think of a new word, won't I? But I
You
really
will,
like it.
yeah.
It works. Welcome to Loaded Mag. Really pleased to be back on with the boys. As the regular followers of the show will know, we've had a week off. And do you know what? It feels like we've been off for months, doesn't it, lads?
It does, yeah. What's your name again? Avon. That's it. Yeah. Remember, you know.
But no, it's great to be back on, and as always, lots to talk about our favourite club, Newcastle. So Daz, you gonna kick us off, mate, on what we're going to discuss this evening?
Yeah, I'm still laughing at Martin's comment before we hit the button.
Yeah,
I couldn't be arsed. Chris, you do it.
And then literally the intro just went straight in.
I must tell you that I'm pressing that button. But yeah, okay, we've got a bit to talk about.
But before we start, I've got to compliment Mark because he's had a fresh trim.
I have had a fresh trim.
Yeah, hey,
it's looking slick.
Although I was sitting here before, I was going, look at the fucking grey, loads of it. It's kind of going. In fairness, to be fair, the half year I've had, it's hardly surprising I've got a bit more grey hair than I started with pre-lockdown and everything else with family. But yeah, I have, and the reason for that is I'm having a night away with the missus in Dublin tomorrow night. Got a really good deal in a hotel. She's going shopping with the sister, and I'm going drinking with the brother-in-law, and I'm going to get fucking hammered. Is basically the plan. All day tomorrow, in there for about 1, late checkout Sunday with a hangover. I've got a box of Sulfadine. Yeah, I'm going for it tomorrow.
What I love about that, Martin, is that you were saying, I've got a weekend away with the missus or a night away with the missus, but you're spending all day drinking with the brother-in-law.
They are going. Well, where we're staying, there's a massive, just along the road, there's a massive shopping centre. But it's got all the real, probably in the places where Pete shops, all the trendy places. So there's a Harvey Nicks, there's a Canada Goose, there's Tom Ford, all these big ones. So I'm actually a little bit scared as to how much damage she's going to do. Yeah, we're going to have a nice bit of grub. Kind of everything was thrown in with the deal, including a couple of cocktails. So I'm going to chill out with the brother-in-law, let the hair down, no kids, night out, staying over, and a few pints, watch the Wales-Denmark, Wales-Sweden game, is it? I think tomorrow, 5:00. Yeah.
2 big games.
If you've joined us late, welcome to Loaded Dirty Weekend as Martin goes through his weekend details.
Hang on. I think you find Holly was away before I've been away. Was he not on a dirty weekend there a few weeks back? No,
I was. Yeah.
Is that where obviously one of your kids? That's obviously where the name come from. Was it? Was a while back? It was obviously a bit of summer loving.
I'm cracking on, lads. I'm cracking on. Before this,
we digress.
Yeah. Look,
thanks, Pete. Yeah, I did have a trim.
I wanted to bring up the talk about the kits. Now these are, we find out a sense that these are concept kits. They weren't the real deal, but because the Chronicle came out and they found a bit of detail about there was going to be a grandfather collar, and they put up a rather I won't say nifty, a rather interesting mock-up that no one would wear. But let's talk about the ones that did pop up. So I'm just going to flash up the home, the away, the third kit, and then all the three together. So what's your thoughts on this? My own thoughts are, I like all three, but the thing that stood out for me is I'd rather a bit more white just on the sides. Sorry, a bit more, not more white, more black. Couldn't get any more white.
Those black stripes white, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it would. But that was the only thing for me. But I actually like the light blue crest and everything, or the detail there, but sponsor and stuff. But yeah, what was your own thoughts, lads? There's a bit of talk about those.
I like them. I think the black is really, really nice. Kind of, it's like the black one we had a while back. This kind of, I think it was one of the centenary shirts or something, was it? I think one of the ones we had. I think the home one, I think maybe if it just had a black stripe down the top of the sleeve, I think would have made it a little bit better. But I've kind of looked at it a few times, and it's kind of grown on me. I wouldn't not wear it. I think with the away one, I like the color, but I'm not sure it needed the black chunk with the Fun 88 on it. I think they could have got away maybe with a different color Fun 88 on it, and just not had the big black chunk. But other than that, yeah, look, they're all right. Better than Puma.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Mark? Your last point there is absolutely right. Yeah, it's just nice to have a new manufacturer, isn't it? I mean, I shared my thoughts with you boys on the group chat, and I think we're all in agreement. Yeah, the home kit needs a bit more black. I didn't understand all the hate for the colour of the away kit. I was quite a fan of the away kit, if I'm honest. I really liked it.
It reminds me the coloration of that. If it had, that would be really nice if it had the same band through the middle, but with the Newcastle Brown Ale badge on it.
Yeah.
Like the last blue we had with Shearer and Beardsley, Ferdinand, when we beat Sunderland 2-1 at the old Roker Park.
Yeah,
that blue with the black and white collar, like the stripe thing. I had that. So it reminds me of that color. But yeah, they'd all look great if they had the brown ale badge on. But there you go, or the blue star.
And I think the third kit with the black and gold, it reminds me of Demba Ba, that shirt. I'm sure that was the shirt we wore when Demba Ba was here. And it just looks classy. Black and gold, it just looks classy, doesn't it? I mean, I know, we're all commenting on these shirts, and I understand, or we've heard that, these probably won't be the kits, but why not talk about them? If they looked like that, I'd be happy, certainly based on the previous Puma ones that we've had.
Yeah,
cool. Pete, your thoughts?
Take my money is what is my take my money, and I'm going to say that as quiet as I possibly can, so the wife doesn't hear me. But honestly, I love every single one of them, all three of them. I know that they could be fake. I know that they might not be the actual real designs, but I tell you what, I love them all. The home kit reminds me of Shearer's last season. Where that was predominantly white, but it had obviously the gold on the front.
Yep.
That kit always reminds me of
Albert Luque.
In Zogbia. It reminds me of. Really weird. I don't know why. I have no idea. He's not really one that kind of stays on the mind in terms of the Newcastle player. But yeah, it just reminds me of that kit. The black one, as Chris said, reminds me of the Denver Bar years, the season we finished 5th. And, the original away kit, I really like it. I just think it's just lovely, lovely colours. Yeah, just a really nice blue colour. Or whatever you might refer to it as green, I have no idea. Just a lovely, lovely kit. I mean, the thing that makes me think that it's real is just because of the detail of the Castore, not just on the badge, but on the inside of the top, but also like I love the little Castore at the bottom. I just think that's really smart, really smart. But just three very, very nice kits. And if the real ones are anything even close to that, I'm down.
Yep.
Pete, in terms of that, the kit you just mentioned with Nzobia, am I right in thinking that was one of the few seasons where we wore white shorts, and that's why he looked even more white?
Yeah, that game at Sunderland, they wore that shirt with white shorts.
Yeah, they did.
That was Shearer's last game with the penalty, and Exogbia scored that when he went past about 6 Sunderland players and scored. Luque scored.
I think that's what reminds me of it, purely because of that game at the Mackems at the Stadium of Shite. So I think that's what reminds me of Exogbia. But lovely, lovely kit. Just hopefully it's something close to that.
I like at the top of the collar there as well, the little badge, the Castore badge there.
If they're not really the kits, then I'll be able to bring ones that look like that back from Turkey next year. So if anybody's looking for them,
that's awesome.
Sports Direct in Dalaman will be selling those because they'll be out there already now. That as soon as they do that, because I seen about 4 different versions the year before last when I was out there, and they were all shirts that had been leaked. So they obviously make them, so you could get about 3 different styles out there when I was out there last year or year before last.
If not, I trusted DH Gate will always do the base.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll move on from the kits, lads, and I know anyone waiting for Paul. Paul is due to join us in a little while. We did give him a little window to join us. So we said we'd have a bit of a chat ourselves first. I want to move on to again. I'm kind of into, I suppose, topics that are kind of a week old here at the moment. We get into the newer stuff later in the show, but one that hasn't happened yet, and we're kind of happy that it hasn't. At least 3 out of the 4 of us are. It's Rafa. There's no sign of Everton making that announcement, which is good news for as far as I'm concerned. So what's your thoughts there, Chris? We'll go to you first on this one because you're the man.
I don't even want to talk about it. I don't care. The other two lads can. Couldn't give a shit.
Back again.
Do you know what? I
don't care. I seriously don't care.
Do you know what, mate? I'm not as far down the road as you, but I think I said at the very start, mate. Like, it's not all about Rafa for me. Like, I still felt like Rafa had his flaws in terms of building the club up. I won't go on too much, but in terms of building the club up, I think Rafa would be great. He'd sort the infrastructure out. He'd sort the training facilities out. He'd sort everything to do with the club out. But way back when we were talking about Poch, I was saying, and we were being linked to Poch. I think I said that I prefer Poch over Rafa, and it's because I want us to play properly as well. I want to see nice attacking, free flowing football. And under Rafa, as much as he would have us well drilled, and certainly for the first couple of years, 2-3 years while we're building, I think he'd be great. But if we don't end up getting Rafa, I'm not one of those people who's going to say, oh, it's all a mess. It's all it's all going to go to pot, because there's plenty of managers out there who could still do a job for us. And at the end of the day, if Rafa goes elsewhere, good luck to him. But I'm not gonna cry about it. But
no.
Yeah, in terms of Rafa going to Everton, it is really quiet here on Merseyside. I know a lot of Everton fans who are all kind of like keeping the fingers crossed that it's not Rafa. It looks now, doesn't it, like Nuno's off to Spurs from what we've heard. Favre looks like he's rejected Palace. So the manager merry-go-round still continues. Weirdly, I don't know what it is, but I've been thinking about Conte recently. Like, I'd love to get someone like Conte.
Personally, or football-wise?
Yeah. No, just in terms of a new manager, because I'm kind of resigned myself to the fact that we're not getting Rafa now, because there's even talks of him talking to Fiorentina, isn't there? I don't know how true they are, but that's what I've heard anyway. Certainly here that he's possibly in talks with Fiorentina, but I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I'd like to get Rafa back, and I'd be delighted if we got Rafa back, but I'm not like hanging my hat on it. And if it didn't happen, we'll get on with it.
Cool. Pete, you happy still?
Yeah, to a point. He's obviously not. He's not gone to Everton yet. Although TalkSport were saying this morning that it's likely to be a Monday reveal, and that he's going to sign on Monday. That was their information coming out this morning. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it's hard to not believe Jim White, because he was the one that broke the news initially. So there's an element of truth there, because he was the go-to source. So look, I'm with Chris in what he said with regards to, with the project, you'd want him to start it. He knows the club. He could hit the ground running. And I've said that along with Chris for a long time now. He would be the go-to guy. But I can't help but feel that if he does make this move after all the negativity that's gone his way, it feels a little bit desperate. And I think desperate is probably the right word. I always go back to Liam. Obviously, Liam was on the show with us, a couple of weeks ago, and I always go back to his comments, probably around sort of end of January, February time, in that he made a really, really good point in that Rafa Benitez says or makes decisions without thinking, and particularly his most recent moves. For example, Newcastle, when he came to us, and China. Have been decisions made because he's been out of football too long. He's got itchy feet and he just wants to get back into the game. And I can't help feel that this move for Everton, after all the negativity, would be something of the same decision, and he could fall flat on his face if things don't go right very, very quickly. So I'd be somewhat really disappointed if he made that move. when there's a potential, yes, it's not guaranteed, but a potential of having everything that he wants as a manager. You know, as a manager, Rafa Benitez over the years, he's been very demanding on transfer fees and how he runs the club and how he manages the club, and he wants more and more control and all that goes with it. And that's normally his downfall with any owner that he's been with Chelsea, with with Milan, with Real Madrid, with Newcastle, with us as well. And you can't help but feel if he's got the perfect opportunity with us to have everything that he wants and be able to run the club the way he wants. But if he's to give that up for Everton, I'd be really disappointed. I really would. So that's why I'm kind of on the fence. I was really pro Rafa, gutted at the initially, but now I'm thinking, you know what? It'd be a really, really poor move and a really bad decision for him if he actually then went and took the job after all of that rubbish.
But I think sorry, Daz. I think the fact he asked for 12 million for a season, which was the same money he was making from China, is there not a little bit of that he's kind of outpriced himself in a deliberate move?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. This is but then I mean he did go to China. Was it for the money? Is he money motivated? He's he probably doesn't need it. But look, we'll wait and see what washes out. But
it's a great point. It's a great point, Mart, because I think we mentioned this a while back, didn't we, about that very point? As his agent turned around and said, "Okay, the Everton fans don't want you. You're not that keen to go. Why not just ask them for a silly amount and see if they do it?" And maybe Everton have turned around and said 12 million. I mean, at Newcastle, I think he was on 5 or 6 million a year, wasn't he? Then he's gone to China and got 12 million. And now he's asked for 12 million off Everton. And if they're willing to pay it, I mean, just imagine that release clause if they get rid of him.
I think he was on 8 with us.
Was it 8?
Yeah, wow. I think at the point in which he left, Mike Ashley was paying him 8 million, which for Mike Ashley to pay a manager 8 million is crazy.
Yeah, just one point I want to make that I'm a big Rafa fan. I want him back. I still want him back. But if it doesn't happen, if he goes to Everton, that's it. My love affair with Rafa is over. It has to happen now, and it has to be this project. That's why I want him in, just because he has the ideas already. He would work well with Amanda and co, and he could get us off up and running, and then hand over to someone else. That's the dream I have. I know, like Chris said, it can happen with someone else as well. But that's why I want to give him first shot or first refusal. And by going to Everton, that's just him turning us down when we're potentially so close. So that's enough of talk about Rafa. I think now it's time to bring on our guest for the night. I want to bring on Paul. Just before we're going to bring on Paul, he is heading off. He's going to be appearing on Love Island now next week. So we just caught him before he got on the show. So welcome, Paul.
He's not going to live that down, lads.
I know I've got a tan, but Jesus Christ, no, not for me. Not for me. No way.
No. I wouldn't be asked for
that. You'll be watching it though, Paul. You'll be watching it though.
Yeah, I've got. Well, with living with daughters and a fiance, I've kind of got no choice. That's why I'm trying to do loads of live shows from when it starts.
Exactly. Yeah, get them plugged in. My missus will be the same. Should just be transfixed by it. And I'm like, I just don't see the attraction whatsoever.
Oh no,
none of it.
Not for me. Not for me.
But there you go. Listen, welcome, buddy. Thanks very much for coming on.
You're welcome.
I kind of pinged you there a couple of weeks back. Obviously, those who have watched us or are watching and have watched before, we were obviously part of, started our journey on doing the match day lives and stuff with Steve Rates. We've gone our own way. We got a few bits coming up over the next couple of weeks. Wednesday, when he watches on Loaded Football, we'll give you a bit more detail. But we started to really focus in on Loaded Mag and talking about the club that we love. And I think one of the things over certainly the first few shows we didn't really do was we didn't really reach out to other like-minded pods and get their views for a few things. One, just obviously about the club, the goings on and everything else. But from people like Paul, who are very, very good, established YouTube guys out there delivering great content.
Well, that's very kind. That's not what the trolls have been saying. That
was on the script that Daz wrote. That wasn't what I was going to say, but that's all right.
You never follow a script.
I think from our perspective, some of the things that I also wanted to chat about was really just about getting started. What got you started? How did you build on things? Because we're obviously trying to get into that market, I suppose. It's there's a good few pods out there. But I suppose for our perspective, Paul, take us through, what got you going and, how you've developed it on the Toon Review for a while.
Well, it all started off, a few years back, I started watching, I don't know how, but I came across Brian, who's known as the True Geordie, obviously, to everybody else. And I started to watch him. And when I started watching him, he was basically just doing them from his laptop. And just sort of having a rant about Newcastle United and things like that. And I thought, do you know what? I've never thought about going in front of a camera and doing anything like that. I didn't have a clue how to edit videos, upload them, or anything like that, to be fair. So I started watching loads of YouTube videos about how to start up, how to set up, etc., how to create a channel. And I just started doing it that way, just recording off my phone and uploading it that way. But then I got up to about 3,500 subscribers, and that's when the trolls kicked in the first time around. But I had no idea, what trolls were at the time. I was oblivious to anything, to be honest. And I got hammered week after week. Again, I was honest about the illness that I had and things like that. People were targeting that, then saying things about my kids, and so I scrapped the channel. I lost all the subscribers. I just couldn't be bothered with it all. I let it all get to me. But then, after being off it a while, I saw more and more channels start up. Newcastle Fans TV was another one I watched, and I got pretty good friends with a couple of them guys, and I started watching them, and I thought, you know what, why not just give it another go? Which I did. But this time, since I've started doing it again, I've sort of saved up, invested in, green screens, lights, microphones, cameras. I don't think my fiance will be happy if she ever knew how much I'd spent on cameras. But it's one of them things where, you start and you just want to improve and improve and improve. And I've slowly built myself up. And you guys will know a few months back, I completely lost the plot for a while, and I was digging at Steve and I was digging at everybody else, and I was going through a really bad time behind the scenes in my personal life, and which I've explained all that to Steve, who, by the way, is a fantastic fella, as is Holly and everything like that. And I was glad Holly decided to come on my channel and talk about mental health in a way, because we both discussed that, and I think that has a lot to do with being on YouTube as well. You have to be prepared for making mistakes, which I've openly done, and I've openly apologized on my channel and to everybody else for what happened with that. But you learn as you go on. It's one of them things that even if you start off and subscribers aren't coming, it got me down a bit last season, or the season before, sorry. And then we went and got hammered off Leeds, and I did a video where I was very, very angry, to say the least. But all of a sudden, my channel grew. Now, I wasn't sure at the time, is that people just wanted to see me rant all the time or things like that? But it wasn't, and I got more and more people watching the channel. And it's just a case now of just slowly building up again, because I think patience is the biggest thing you have to have on YouTube. But you've got to be prepared to make mistakes as well, because if you don't learn from your mistakes, you won't get very far. But I've come onto it the second time with a lot more enthusiasm, I think, than I did the first time. I get myself out and about on other channels. I welcome people on mine. I give everybody any help that they need to grow a channel. There's no sort of competitiveness in me, if you like, for other channels. I think we're all in the same boat, and I think everybody's on YouTube because they love doing it. So if everybody can help each other, then fair enough. I'm perfectly open to that. But like I say, patience is the biggest word you've got to have, because it doesn't happen overnight.
No, that's cool. That's 100%. I mean, we've been going. We kind of started off with we did loaded football, which kind of we set out to do an hour, with a bit of a kind of like an old age soccer AM kind of thing with a bit of music, and that's taken off. But then we've ended up going to an hour and a half to 2 hours. We've done some shows that are 3 hours. But I think what we've found as a channel, sometimes 3.5. But I think what we found as a channel is, that's not really got the growth that we kind of wanted from it, and we're putting so much work into it that we've kind of said, okay, we might, we'll do certain things. We launched Loaded Mag because when we first went out, we kind of said, well, we don't want to do Newcastle because like everyone's doing it, and let's talk about football in general. And then when we were doing the shows, we were going, man, this is a bit shit at times because we're not talking about the club we love. So we obviously started up Loaded Mag then, and that's doing well. We're still learning from it, putting the effort in. But I think just to go back, you were talking about, and I watched the video and that you did when you kind of, you had, as you said, to quote you, the little wobble, and you came back on. And I think as somebody that hadn't really watched a lot of your shows, if I'm honest, and I've watched a couple with the Four Horsemen and stuff, which I'm really, it's close to the knuckle at times, but it's really,
is it not?
It is very, very funny. But I think the way that you came back and you did, hit the apology, and you went through the things that were going on, and then you and Holly went through it. From my perspective, watching that as somebody that didn't really know you, it was very, very honest and quite refreshing to see that, because I mean, even this week alone, I mean, you've sat off the back of my Twitter this week, and I was going toe to toe with a certain troll this week who was accused of me of condoning violence and everything else. And in fairness, you jumped into it and went, hang on a minute now, that's not the crack. And the two of us were kind of double teaming for a while, which was, but it is hard, as we seen from those tweets, anybody that was watching mine over the last kind of 48 hours, it was me and another. And then all of a sudden there was another 5 or 6 that were tailcoating off the back of that. And to be fair to Paul, I will thank him while we're on. He jumped in to not save my ass, but he kind of just went, well, hang on a minute now. This is, the lad's not said nothing here. Hang on a minute. And then I kind of got into it. I was kind of enjoying it because your man didn't have an answer.
Well, he was digging me beforehand. He'd already sent me a couple of messages saying, you're crap. You don't belong on YouTube. You're just a wannabe and all of this. And thinking, a wannabe? I do this because I enjoy it. And it's, to be fair, because of all I've been through, which I've come out and done my own mental health video about, ever since I started with anxiety, etc., because of what happened in my life. I've gone through my illness. I did a separate video by myself about that, where, it's hard because I'm having to talk about things that have really affected me and affected my life. But I did that video more to prove that, because I've seen so many people going through anxiety and depression and terrible mental health things on Twitter, that I just wanted to put one out there to say, if you've got a goal, then, try and aim for that, to try and beat it that way around. But what I've found is the more subscribers you seem to get on YouTube or Twitter, the more the trolls target you. The same, if you, once you start growing and you get established in that, every time you tweet something or do a video, you get them coming on. I had a guy come at me for being a racist because I was, on the Four Horsemen. We joke with John a lot about Joe Linton. But we all get flack on that show now. We all get it, especially me, more than anybody now, with the lookalikes and stuff. I mean, imagine being, told you look like Lee Charnley and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You've got to take it with a pinch of salt. So for me, like that, tweets like what happened yesterday would have affected me so much more a couple of years back, but I've learned now how to deal with it and deal with it in a different way. Because I know that if I am having a problem with somebody like yesterday, there's always somebody got my back, and I'll always have somebody else's back if I believe they're in the right. And that's what the trolls don't. The trolls do not like that. I mean, he completely lost the plot yesterday when he couldn't handle it anymore. Especially when we started saying, Mammy will be calling you for your T-shirt.
I know, I did take a bit of flack after that, and then you what made me laugh more than anything was I said, listen, I just need to know, do you want to keep going this all night? Because I got something to do. And by the way, your mum's going to call you for your tea shortly. And literally, I had literally put that up, and Paul bounced straight back and went, "Oh, here, man, crawl under your stone. Your ma's looking for you." And I just went, I was just sat on the couch. I was howling with laughter, and I know it's really sad, but I was actually enjoying it because your man was getting so wound up. And me and Paul were just coming at him with like one-word answers and stuff, and he had no retort. So I think once you can kind of brush it off, like water off a duck's back, and you can, I suppose, have a little bit of fun with it for your own want, I suppose, then, from my perspective, like, the trolls will never get to me because I don't care.
Well, I had them all coming at me yesterday, accusing me, being scared because I apologized to Stephen Holly because I was scared of them, and despite the fact that I know I was in the wrong and I needed to apologize for what happened with that. So, they're still coming at me for that, saying, "Oh, I was kissing backside and all of this," and because I mentioned Keith from what he does, I got flack for that. Even though all I said was, I'm interested in listening to him from a legal side of things about what he talks about from a legal side. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in all the in the knows. I don't claim to be an in the know account, which a lot of people hammer me for. All I do is I see snippets on the internet. I copy and paste just to let other Newcastle fans know what's in the news or what's going around by certain reports. I've never claimed to be in the know, and I never will be in the know, quite honestly. Sometimes I do have a couple of friends who work at the club, and they'll tell me things which I'll never really, you don't sort of tell people who your sources are or anything like that. But I'm not one of these people that will say, "Oh, the takeover's 10:30 tonight. There's going to be some fantastic news about the takeover." And it's, you've got people who go on Twitter to look for Newcastle United news, genuine people, and then you've got idiots like that building people's hopes up when, we want to take over so badly, and then you've got idiots like that coming on. And I mean, Burnsy gets a lot of hammer, but I'm actually good friends with him. Ben's a good lad as far as I'm concerned. He's never done wrong by me, and I know he has some decent sources, but he gets hammered a lot for it. But I
get on all right with him as well.
Yeah, he helped me get through a lot of the early, when the trolls started back on me. He helped me get through it a lot, so I've got a lot to thank him for. So he tweets out what he believes or what he's told, but he's a really good lad, and people will hammer him for it. But that's because these keyboard warriors just want to ruin everything for everybody else. They wanted to, the back at me because, they think I'm a wannabe or whatever that's supposed to mean. I have no idea. But I used to be bothered about subscribers, and I still will ask for people to subscribe only if they like the content, and that's why I always say now, if you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. I don't say subscribe now or anything like that. I just say, please consider if you like the content, So when you were talking about a Newcastle United channel there, I mean, I'm planning on doing a lot more next season with, talking about the EFL and non-league teams, but the non-league teams from up here, just to spread the shows out a little bit, and like I say, the Four Horsemen was never supposed to be what it is now. That's a certainty. That just started off as four guys like you guys just talking about Newcastle United, and then suddenly we had a few comments from the viewers, and it just took off. Is it close to the bone? You're damn right it is, but I love doing it, because the people come on with the most outrageous jokes, disgusting things, if I'm honest, some of the time. But
I think that's what makes it funny, though.
Yeah. And
you don't expect that. And somebody I watched one the other night, and it was like, I was like, my little fella was running backwards and forwards behind me. I was like, fuck, I have to turn it off. But it's like,
to be honest, that's why it's not until 8 o'clock to 8 till 10. Because I mean, I've got kids, and I need to get hidden away before I start that show when they're still running around. But the comments that I've had, the really positive ones about people look forward to it on a Monday night to start the week with, Mondays are notoriously bad, the start of the week, it's start work week, but people are actually looking forward to it. So many comments about helping people's mental health because they laugh, just have a good laugh for 2 hours. And that's what it is. It's just let your hair down, have a laugh for 2 hours. It's nothing serious. It's just a good bit of banter just for 2 hours. And then, we get on them with the rest of our weeks. But like I say, some people have commented saying it's racist or whatever it is. John is like a brother to me. I love him to bits, and there's no way that he's even come out and said there's nothing like that. It's for me. I mean, I've had a couple of racists come on my channel. I've cut them off immediately, because I cannot be done with that. I'm against it so much because I have a lot of friends who, are African Americans and things like that. And it just really, really boils me up when I see people trying to, do that. Little Annie, who comes on my channel, I don't know whether you've seen him, a Bristol City supporter. People try to be racist to him when he's on my channel sometimes. So luckily, I kind of just see the comments in time before I put them on the screen, which I think is important. And that's another reason I brought Jade on board to be a co-host with us, because it then gives me time to filter out the comments. Because when I'm on my own, sometimes the comments are coming through. I just literally click them or put them on the screen without filtering them. And 99% of the time, everything's fine. But that just 1%, you've just got to watch out for. Yeah,
that's why we have Daz.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I'm gonna cut you off there because I'm gonna talk some Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to move it on.
So we've discovered already that both Paul is bringing Martin with him now to Love Island, so that's great because the old tag team they were talking about there. But so let's
realise I'll get hammered for that on the Horseman now.
That's absolutely coming back on our Twitter feeds tonight as well, Daz. Thanks very much for that.
Yeah, cheers, lads.
Get your photoshopping in now. Let's. I'm going to open it to the floor, and we'll go around one by one. Maybe we'll start with you, Paul. You're the guest, because I've seen you tweeting about different names. I want to talk about transfer speculation and the different names linked. Some probably more possible than others. So, what's the ones that catch your eye and could potentially happen? I guess.
Well, I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's literally 10 to 15 names linked every day, isn't there? I mean, this Christopher Aya one seems to be dragging on a little bit. I have seen a bit of him. I watch literally every bit of football that's on TV sometimes, but he does look at talent. And it was only a season and a half ago, he was rated at 25 million quid. And then if we can get him for 6, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's a bargain. But then because Newcastle United always dawdle with the signings, it allows other teams to come in and pinch them off us. And, we've had Leverkusen coming in for him, Norwich City coming in for him. And I mean, it's bizarre how we just get linked to players and never seem to do the deals. It's always a case of transfer deadline day. We can't get it over the line and things like that. But Aya was a really big one for me because I thought, I was hoping that Lejeune would come back and that we could maybe have them two at the end of the day. But other ones, I mean, obviously Willock is a big one for me. I think that's the major one that needs to get done because we can build a team around him. End of last season, Bruce is starting to say, we're building a team around Shelby and Almiron and things like that. But this guy is somebody that you can build on and go from there. We need a striker in as well to back Wilson up, but we don't seem to be looking at that position at the minute. I mean, Josh King was mentioned a couple of weeks ago. That's gone all quiet. But Willock for me is the main one. Get him done first and foremost, then look at building around him.
Yeah,
nice spot.
I think if we could have got Aya, one of the things I've always said about teams, Paul, is a good team needs that spine, which is a good goalkeeper, an outstanding centre back, a cracking midfielder, and a striker who'll get you 20-25 a season.
Yeah,
and I think if we could have got Aya and we could get Willock, you've got Dubravka, Aya, Willock, and Wilson. You've got that spine then, and we could, fill in and around that. But yeah, again, we just, I agree with you. We seem to just stagnate and slow. We're so slow getting any kind of deals done. The talk is out there, and it does just give other clubs then an opportunity to go, oh, hang on a minute, 6 million. That's maybe something. I mean, the fact that we are now struggling to compete with a Norwich.
I was just going to say that, yeah. I mean,
is absolutely shocking.
Just on that, Martin, and I suppose Norwich have that Buena money as well that they got off Villa, so they're going to be have something to play with. Let's say.
Yeah, exactly. Pete, what do you think?
I'm trying not to get drawn into a lot of the transfers at the moment, purely because I don't believe we're going to get any deals done until at least mid-July, end of July, because everything with the arbitration and the future of the club is the priority at the moment. For Mike Ashley, for the consortium, for everyone at Newcastle. So at the moment, although it's a priority for us to get these deals done, it's not a priority for the club because there's something bigger at play. So we're looking at all these deals, the Ayers and all the rest of the players that have been linked over the recent weeks. The one thing I've noticed in previous years is that all of these players that are linked never end up at the club. The only ones that are really guaranteed is, for example, you look at the Hendrick deal. The Hendrick deal was lined up back in January before lockdown, and it only took until 2 weeks before the season for him to be signed. That's how long they took that for that deal to be done. All the other links in between are just hearsay. So even the Ayer deal, if it was going to be done, it would have been done by now. For me, he goes elsewhere. And the fact that there's been recent links with the likes of Saliba and the likes of there's been some quiet links with Axel Tuanzebe, who I would love to have at Newcastle because he's going to go out on loan from Man United and he's a fantastic centre back. Got previous because he worked under Bruce at Villa and was very good there. You know, all of these other links says to me that they are looking elsewhere and that is going to go elsewhere. And Daz is absolutely right. When you've got money to play with, like Norwich have, and they've got a good chunk of money to play with, they can slap that money down and say, we're guaranteed to give you this. Let's do the deal now. We're not in that position. So the only deal I think that's likely to be on the line to get done is the Josh King deal. And I think that's why that's gone quiet, because I think that's probably a deal that's been talked about, been lined up potentially. I know his agency is a similar agency to one or two of the players that are already at the club. So it all seems to make sense. But again, that deal can be done at any time. That deal can be done mid-July, end of July, and still go through like the Hendricks deal. So a lot of this stuff that I'm hearing about all these other players that have been linked, a pinch of salt, I'm not really taking it in because, like I say, there's something a lot bigger at play at the moment, which is the priority. Although we want to see players come through the door, early doors, when have we as a club done that under Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley? We never, ever do that. We always do our deals late.
Transfer deadline day.
Yeah. Before we go to Chris, and as part of your answer, Chris, I want you might have a bit of an insight into this guy, Remy Savage, as well. You might do. You might not. Do you know anything about him?
I've got to be honest, mate. I don't know anything about him. Obviously, I've been reading up on him, and it sounds like he's a prospect. But the only thing that worries me with this deal is the fact that Liverpool offered him a 1-year deal and he rejected it. Yeah. And he's meant to be coming to us, but I think I tweeted it out saying, if he was that good, Liverpool wouldn't have offered him a 1-year deal, and if he rejected it, they'd have offered him a 2, 3, 4, 5-year deal. So that's my only concern. I don't mean to be negative, but I'm not going to get too excited. I'm not going to get too excited about him. I've got to be honest. I think the one that I've got my eye on, other than Ayer, which, as Pete said, it looks to have passed us by. The one that I'm quite excited about is Saliba. I always like it when a club pay a lot of money for a player and then, it doesn't work out. Maybe they go on loan or, they just stay on the bench or whatever. And then there's an opportunity to bring them in for a cheaper amount. Because I believe Arsenal paid upwards of 30 million for him. And he's just never really been given that opportunity. And then he's gone back to France with Nice. Had a fantastic season by all accounts from what I've heard. And now there's a possible opportunity of us signing him if Arsenal push through the deal for Ben White from Brighton. So I'd be really excited if we got him on loan. Again, if it's a loan deal, and I know I keep harping on about this, but I hope to God that somebody agrees a loan deal with an option to buy. I find it really frustrating when we bring these loans in and there's no option to buy. Not even saying it's an obligation, just an option. We should have done the same. And well, I say that we did the same with Willems, didn't we? But the fee was quite high. But it's good when you bring in a player, you test them out, and if you want them, you've agreed a lower fee, or if you don't want them, you send them back. But when you don't agree that fee, Saliba could come here next season, have a fantastic season, and then Arsenal, like they may do with Willock, and go, oh yeah, we want 40 million for them, and then that you've got a problem then. But like Pete, we all want transfers to be done. We all think transfers are priorities, but really, realistically, like we said last week, lads, it feels almost as if Mike Ashley's kind of shut the door on Newcastle. And as far as he's concerned, the club's sold. and he's waiting for someone to come and pick the keys up, and he's just letting us rot. And that's certainly how it feels. Obviously, if something happens in the next 4 to 8 weeks, it might be all systems go, and Ashley might have to, start getting involved again in the day-to-day running of the club. But I'd say for the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, it's going to be pretty quiet, as Pete said.
Cool. The other two pitchers on here, let's say in the system as well, is if we're looking for a backup for Jeff Hendrick, the likes of they mentioned is, and he's an upgrade on him for sure, but is Mario Lamela. Now this guy, he was at Juventus. He is on the books of Southampton, but he was on loan at Fulham. Fulham obviously got relegated, so they're not going to take him. So he looks like he is up for grabs as well. But I know reading a bit about him, a bit of his temperament. I'm not sure. Is he in the Fraser mold? Is he in? Bruce doesn't have a great history of getting on with them. Look at who he's on Hull. Ben Arfa, he wasn't able to control him either. But so I don't think it'd be a great mix if that's the case. And just to
jump in there, Daz, with that Lamina, again, he's another one. Big signing from Southampton, from Juventus.
Yeah,
I believe, like you said. It didn't quite work out for him. He's gone on loan to Fulham. What I did like last season, and I don't know if any of you noticed this, but when Fulham lost to us, I'm sure it was him that was crying as he walked off the pitch.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was him. It was, and do you know what? I quite like that, because I thought, he knew then that Fulham were in trouble.
It was maybe he's game, Chris.
Yeah, it was the Wolves game. Adama Traore. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was, because we did it on Matchday Live. He was really upset, and I just thought, and he does look very good, but as Dad said, it's his temperament, and it's whether he's able to kind of show his qualities in the Premier League. Obviously, Juventus let him go. Doesn't necessarily mean to say that he's not good enough, but there must be a player in there. But it's whether or not somebody like Bruce could coach it out of him.
Jones.
It was a really weird move for Lamina to move from Juventus, who were winning the Serie A, to go to Southampton. So for me, it was always in my thought that it was money motivated, because whenever he played well for them. He's a good player. And I've got to be honest, Dad was joking. I hope he was joking anyway when he said he was he was a backup to Hendrick. But honestly, he's a talented player. He's a talented player. He was playing in a horrible, let's be honest, a horrible Fulham team last season. I think we'd all agree that Angrizo is a better centre midfielder with more potential that we'd like to sign in an ideal world. But Lamina, in his last year of his contract at a cheap fee, could actually come in and do a better job than the likes of Longstaff, potentially the likes of Hayden, and really come in and probably support the likes of Willock to get forward. And it could be that having someone like him in the team could release the likes of Shelby playing, which I think we'd all agree would be a good thing right now. Yeah. So there's a potential there. But again, I just go back to the point: is that deal going to be now? Is his head going to be turned by money from another club at such a cheap price? I can't get invested in these deals because there's so much in the air right now. It's so difficult.
I don't think we'll see it. I think you're right, Pete. I don't think that there's two pieces for me. One, I don't believe half of it until I see him on the pitch holding a jersey or a scarf. That's one. The other side of it is, I think we won't see nothing purchase-wise. If there is anything, I think it'll be the last week of the window if things haven't happened, and there'll be loan deals. Because there's no way, I don't care people saying, oh, there's 12 million or we've got 5 million or Ashley's given Bruce a 50 million war chest. We're not spending. And I think we need to be, that would be my view. But look, let's see where it goes.
What do you think, Paul?
Well, I mean, Lamina for me, you're going about him crying and things like that for Fulham when he's only on loan. I think says a lot about him, that he actually cares. Despite, people have a lot to say about players on loan and that they don't really care because they're going back to the parent club. To see that actually, for me, was a good thing, because even though he was on loan, he cared about what was happening with the club. Yeah. And I think Matty Longstaff looks like he's on his way. I think a loan move for him would probably suit him down to the ground, as long as it's not bloody Middlesbrough. I think he can do a lot for another club and then bring him on, because clearly Bruce has got an issue with him. But that's the thing, we're talking about players coming in and maybe Bruce, knocking something out of somebody or giving somebody or progressing somebody. I don't think he can do that. So, I think the players that we need to bring in have to be already established with no temperament problems or anything like that. They're just, down the line football players. And it sounds stupid saying that, but when you think who our manager is and what he can't do that job. He can't progress anybody. Look at Jamal Lewis. I mean, Gordon Bennett, he looked fantastic when he played for Norwich, and he comes to us and the stuffing's been knocked right out of him. He can't bring anybody on. And I don't think he's got the skills to actually, these players that do have attitudes, Ben Arthur there, you mentioned, he can't coach these people either. So, we're between a rock and a hard place when it comes to signing players because of who we've got as manager at the minute.
Mm-hmm. What's your sorry, Daz, just a quick one for Paul. What's your view on Ryan Fraser for next season? Are we going to see the Ryan Fraser that turns out for Scotland, or are we stuck with a temperamental attitude player who didn't really want to come and just took it as a way to get away?
Yeah, I think he's just spat in the face of Newcastle United, to be honest, since he's been here. He had nowhere else to go. Nobody was putting in the offers. And then Newcastle come in, offer him whatever it was per week. And he said, oh, well, I'll go to Newcastle. His heart's not in it, you can tell. It's twice he's been away with Scotland now, and twice he's come back apparently injured when he's been running around like there's nothing wrong for Scotland, scoring goals, looking like a very decent footballer. But he comes back to us and he's injured all the time. There's just something not right there. And, I've heard rumblings that his attitude's not right at the club. He complains a lot about stuff all the time. And I just think we're better off without somebody like him. And, I'd prefer seeing Jacob Murphy than Ryan Fraser right now, to be fair.
Yeah. No,
do you think that attitude's changed with a new manager, Paul? Or I'm not saying it's all Bruce's fault, but you know yourself when you go into employment, when you're in work, and you're not really appreciating your manager. You may not give your all, and I'm not for 1 minute suggesting it's exactly the same, because obviously, for us normal people, you just crack on and you get your job done. But with these, footballers who obviously are on a lot of money and, they can kind of call the shots a little bit, they've got a bit more say. Do you think that could make a difference if we were to bring a new manager in?
Possibly. I mean, we know that some players react well to certain managers and some people just don't react at all. With Ryan Fraser, though, I just can't see it happening. I mean, he's had opportunities for Newcastle. That sending off at Sheffield United when he just walked off the pitch just as if he just didn't care. There was no emotion when he got sent off, as if to say, when you see people getting red cards or 2 yellows, whatever it may be, they argue with the ref. They've got a bit of passion about them. He didn't fight. He just, I know he couldn't have overturned it or anything, but he didn't even look at the referee. He just walked off with this kind of smirk on his face. And we're all watching it thinking, what the hell is going on? So, like I say, I'm a big fan of Jacob Murphy because of what he's done when he's been out on loan, the improvement he's made to his game. And I really think there's a player in there. So if anybody, I'd rather see Murphy on the pitch than Fraser, even under a new manager. But obviously, time will tell with that one.
Yeah, I think the thing on Murphy, that a very quick point I'll make is, it was absolutely great to see the pictures of him back pre-season training already, in the gym, out on the pitch running, doing stuff like that. I mean, I enjoyed watching him last season. I thought, like you, Paul, I thought he'd done really well for us. But I think that attitude, is what we need to see. You're not going to see Joe Linton coming back that early to get back into it and start building up and everything else. There was videos circulating around today riding mopeds with his feckin' missus. So credit to Jacob Murphy, and I think it was Sean Longstaff was the other one I seen as well, back in the gym working out. So that's what you want from players. So let's see what happens. Daz, what else have we got? Are we gonna mention the word takeover, or are we?
Well, I'm going to mention a word that's connected to it. I'm not going to mention Nat Phillips, who's the other one that was potentially linked to Newcastle. I'm going to mention in the takeover talk. I'm going to mention planes. There's been a lot of talk about planes this week, and there's been talk today even out of planes.
Where did you get that from?
Trust
that's actually playing, isn't it?
That's his picture. That's his Twitter picture. So that's just said. Oh, I have to take that. He won't mind me borrowing that for a while. Well, yeah, it's some playing, isn't it? If that's not sending a message, I don't know what isn't. But yeah. So do you want to mention Takeover talk, Martin, or we could go straight into Euro talk?
We've got to.
I think it will be hard not to mention it. Now I haven't watched the Amigo show today at all, but there has been a considerable amount of movement, both planes, helicopters, and otherwise. Today always seems to be a Friday. I was having a chat to Nathan about this on Wednesday. Me and him were just kind of sitting having a few beers virtually, watching the France-Portugal game. And the same again today. It's just, isn't it just too coincidental that,
gotta be.
PIF's plane, hits London, diverts then off to Nice. Same a few weeks ago. Ashley is in London and then flies to Newcastle. I don't know. I know some people, Liam Kennedy and a few others are going, it's not related. Don't worry about people going to France. Don't worry about this, that, and the other. But fuck me, lads. It's a little bit coincidental that this Saudi plane just happens to be in and around Nice, as does Ashley, as does the Rubens, and then he's in London. I don't know, Paul. What do you think? Are we clutching at straws, pal, or yes. Am I being too hopeful? Do you think it's a coincidence, or is there anything in it?
Well, yes and no.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people out there posting stuff about Ashley's helicopter today, and planes being everywhere. But for me, I've said this for a while now. I don't really want to hear any rumors about any takeover. Because obviously, we have to realize, we're all adults. We'll know the stuff will be going on in the background. We know that. Nobody has come out and said, since it all kicked off again, that the takeover is off. Nobody's mentioned that at all. So there is talks going on behind the scenes. We're not stupid, but I don't want to know anything about this. We got court cases coming up. Just let them get on with it. Obviously, we've got a good representation from Newcastle side of things. So for me, they've obviously got a really good case and against the Premier League, and we know why. I mean, the corruption's there for all to see. However, I just want to wake up one morning and see Amanda Staveley standing on the mid-centre circle, waving a black and white bra above her head and saying, right, we're all yours. This club is now going to be part of the fans.
Then you wake
again.
up, Paul. That's when you wake up. That's when you wake up.
Well, I know that, but this is lads. It's a dream I've had. Don't take it away from me.
Let a man dream.
For a while now.
That's a totally different dream for me because in mine she's not wearing a bra. So
I just want it to happen, without any rigmarole. Just loads of stuff going on that we don't know about, and then it either gets announced or somebody comes out and said, "Look, we tried." It's not happening, and then that's the end of it. Rather than everybody keep going on about plane spotting, train spotting, whatever it may be, just let them get on with it, and then bang, well, it's a yes or no.
Yeah. No, I think
just to add in, by the way, to Donald's comment then. I don't know if you all remember this, but you remember when the BZG deal was like, everyone said it was done, the yellow bar. I remember buzzing, and then like a couple of days later, it was like, oh no, there's no deal.
Yeah,
Sky Sports let us down big time there.
Yeah,
well, they did, and the Michael Chopra thing as well. I mean, he's never been seen since that happened. So,
no, he hasn't.
I'll just take it all with a pinch of salt now, and just let them get on with it, and hopefully, we'll see what happens.
I think the thing for me is, as you said, everything is going on. We know that there must be meetings. We know that there are things going on, and okay, there is coincidences. But I think the bigger thing for me is it's been silent.
Mm-hmm.
There's been nothing. Yeah. There's been nothing from the Premier League. There's been nothing from Ashley or anybody else. Even the last, I would say, 7 to 10 days, if not slightly longer, even the likes of Ben Jacobs has been very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's because there's nothing going on. I don't know. But he was very much posting regular updates till about 2 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, there's not that much, which would indicate to me that things have gone completely off the radar. So I think the quieter it is, and yet, look, none of us are on the know, not me, not Paul, none of the fellas here. We don't know nothing. We can speculate and accumulate to all we want. But I think a sign for me that things are happening is that it is as quiet as it is. And I think the longer it remains like that, the more positive I'll remain.
You have to remember, though, the big players in this takeover have all signed non-disclosures. They're not allowed to say anything. Yeah. So, people who were saying, oh, it'll be done by this, it'll be done by that. They don't know, because the big players simply they've all signed non-disclosures. They're not allowed to discuss the case, full stop. So it kind of makes me laugh when people come out and say, oh, it's going to happen in the next 3 weeks or anything like that. I mean, I did watch the four guys tonight on Steve's show, and Keith was saying, Keith and Steve have both heard that sort of we'll hear more in 6 to 8 weeks what's going on. So, but that's all, that's just Keith's knowledge of how the legal system works with the court case. So, we should know more in 6 to 8 weeks, which is what I'm going off. Really, I'm just not interested in people saying it's happening then, because nobody knows. Nobody actually knows.
And as somebody said on Twitter last night, it's hardly likely that somebody who signed an NDA will be telling somebody from Low Fell over a pint in the Swan at Heworth. So by the way, Takeover's happening in 2 weeks. So that was very funny.
We're going to move on, lads. And before I forget, Martin, give a shout out to Bruce.
Yes, Bruce, a very good Bruce, unlike the other cabbage heat across the way.
Bruce in.
Bruce in, yeah. Centre Rail, our sponsors for Loaded Mag. Bruce and the team over in Centre Rail in Central Station, right in the heart of Newcastle. Fine sellers of ales, pale ales, craft beers, a whole heap of stuff. Go on in there, see them, tell Bruce that the boys off Loaded Mag sent you in, and he will look after you. They've got some real class stuff in there. Apparently, one that is flying off the shelves at the moment is a jam donut pale ale. So apparently that is all the rage. I can see Paul screwing his face up there behind the logo. Doesn't sound great, but I've been told that it's actually really, really nice. So if you are over that way, get in there, get 4 cans of it, and drop us a message on Twitter and let us know, is it absolute kick or is it a decent ale? So let us know. But yeah, thanks to Bruce and the guys for looking after us and their continued sponsorship. Thanks very much.
I still want to try that cranky beer that you tagged me in. That's something really interesting.
That could be any beer for you.
Okay, let's talk about the Euros, and I just want to bring up the last 16. And question to Paul straight off the bat: is it coming home, Paul?
No. Actually, I don't know, because I mean I've been quite critical of England since the tournament. I just find the football mind-numbing that we're playing at the minute. But if we beat Germany, it's Sweden or the Ukraine in the quarters. You maybe have to start believing that we've got a decent side of the draw. If you look at the likes of Belgium, Portugal, and France and Spain, they've got the hardest side of the draw, haven't they? So
they definitely do, yeah.
If we can get past Germany, then maybe just possibly. But then again, if we meet one of the big uns in the final, I just can't see it happening unless we've just not been. We've been more cautious in the group stages just to get through, and then when the knockouts start, we'll see a different England. But I just don't have any faith in Southgate. That's the problem. I think I said. On a couple of my videos that we've watched Newcastle all season playing this mind-numbingly sideways and backwards football, and then you expect something from your national team, and then you're watching the same bloody thing. So all we can hope is that maybe we have just been cautious through the group stage just to get through, and then things might happen. But I think Germany's going to be a tough game, but if we can get past them, then it opens up a little bit. So you just never know with England.
You're not fearing Kraft Sweden anyway if they come through against Ukraine.
No. Possibly Holland. I mean, Holland.
Yeah,
they're looking decent. and never write off Wales, even though they haven't got the big names apart from sort of Ramsey and Bale, but
Bale.
they never stop. They never stop working.
Yeah. I think there's no better a time to play Germany, because I think they're not what they were. I think we spoke about Spain and a couple of other teams there the other night. I think Germany are kind of similar. They're in a bit of a transition, with Muller and a few of the players, Toni Kroos. Look, they've got some good players. They're good in the air with the likes of Hummels and stuff like that. But I think if England set up right, I think we can beat Germany. But I would be more inclined to want to see the likes of probably Grealish to start, and maybe Jadon Sancho out wide somewhere with a bit of pace. I think if we can transition well and a bit of pace in attack, I think they're there to be beaten. I think if we go with Rice and we go sideways and backwards, then I think we could be in. We could struggle. But
I mean, I've been accused of being too negative about England through this tournament, but I mean, have you guys seen anything from England that you could categorically say, wow, we're going all the way?
No.
No.
The problem is Southgate is a defensive-minded manager because he was a defender. So I think he'll always be ultra cautious, try and keep it lean, and maybe go through as he's done. Now, listen, got through the groups. We haven't conceded. We won the games. So, can you complain? Probably not really. Was it the most attractive to watch? No, it was shite. But, first 20 minutes against Croatia, I thought we were great.
Yeah.
Other than that, we weren't. So I think he will always be cautious because of his makeup. Pete, sorry, pal, I got in.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
Go on, mate.
No, it's fine. Go on.
All right. No, I'm done. Chris,
he's thick now. He's thick.
Yeah.
Go on, Chris. Do you want to say something?
Well, you all know my thoughts on England anyway, boys. But I'm not the biggest England fan, and I totally take Paul's point. It's been very, very similar watching England to watching Newcastle, and obviously, I've made it pretty clear I'm always club before country, very much so. But in terms of looking at it, we haven't had a better opportunity, have we, in all these years? And we've also got the Wembley advantage. Germany are definitely there for the taking. This is probably the weakest Germany side, certainly that I can remember. Germany have always traditionally been a really, really strong outfit, and they've always had real top class players. I'm not saying they haven't now, but I just don't fear Germany. When I look at England playing them, I look at the England squad, I look at the Germany squad, and I think, why not? Obviously, the next game as well, whether that be against Sweden or Ukraine, fantastic opportunity, and even the Netherlands. The people have bigged the Netherlands up quite a lot this year, and for me, I know they've got Gini Van Alden, who we all know a lot about. They've got Memphis Depay, they've got Frankie De Jong, but again, they feel a bit toothless. I certainly wouldn't worry about playing the Netherlands. My only concern is as soon as we get to the crunch time. I think as soon as we come up against a Belgium or a France or an Italy, I think we get found out, if I'm honest. But happily be proven wrong. I certainly don't wish. I don't wish England to fail. That's certainly far from it. But yeah, I just wish the club footy comes back sooner rather than later. And to be honest, I am more of a World Cup fan. I enjoy watching all the different teams. I forget who said it, but someone was saying that watching the Euros is very familiar to us because a lot of the players are all players who we see quite regularly. Whereas when you watch the World Cup and you're seeing like the African teams and the South American teams, it's quite fun to watch in different styles. Whereas it all feels really defensive, especially this year. I don't know why, but everyone's very cautious. That's certainly what I've witnessed anyway. And weirdly, the team that has been the least cautious, who I would expect to be, is Italy. And Italy look very attacking, which is quite unusual to see.
Yeah.
Daz has got a good interest tomorrow night. His team is playing Italy, so Italy against Australia tomorrow, 8:00.
Yeah, go on. Fair income. Go on the Aussies. But yeah, for me, like I'm from Ireland. Ireland weren't good enough to get there, and they won't be for the next couple of years. So Yeah, but I see a path for England. I can see them beating Germany. I can see them beating either Sweden or Ukraine. It'd be a tough one to beat. I'm guessing Holland will come through that side. Then you're really hoping that on the other side they all kill each other, and then there's enough injured players that would get the England over the line. So that's my only way of seeing England coming home. Could happen. We'll see. Lads, I want to move on and just tell people. First of all, because I always forget this bit as well, to say thanks for watching, everybody. To like and comment, and to please hit that subscribe button and to help us grow. Just want to tell you then as well, before we finish up, about a few things coming up on the channel as well. I have a few videos, but I'm only going to play one of them. On Wednesday we're going to say goodbye to Lord of Football Weekly, but you're going to have to stay with us and for one last night as we tell you what our plans for the future. And there is going to be still a musical element, but wait and see for that one. So that's coming up on Wednesday. Coming up on next Friday, Chris, you tell us about this one.
Yeah, so next Friday, we've got a chat with Geordie2302, also known as George, and we're really excited to get George on. For the viewers watching the channel at the moment, George delivered the fantastic thread. It was like a takeover thread. Now, George is the first to admit he's not... he hasn't got that legal background, but what we loved about George was the fact that he kind of swatted up on it and learned a lot about it. And certainly what I found from George's thread is he kind of spoke in the normal person's language, so that we all understood where things were with the takeover. So we're really excited to have George on next week. I'm really looking forward to chatting all things takeover and all things Newcastle.
We do. Stick with us as well. I just want to play one video about something that's coming up under our Loaded Mag banner. It's something that we haven't even really talked about properly ourselves, but this is 2 minutes long, but stick with it. Just see what you think. See if you're interested in this next season.
Who would want to be a football manager?
Love that, Daz.
We're going into fantasy football. So
one day your job's going to find out what you really do while you're working.
Shut up, man. That should be fun. So we'll have a few shows and we will have a few leagues and we have a few more ideas around that. So that's something to look forward to. Lads, I think we've probably shot the hour by about 15 minutes. I wanted to thank Paul for coming on and joining us, and go along and watch Paul's show and subscribe to his channel, the Toon Review, and catch up on the Four Horsemen as well. And the last, lads, you want to say before we bring the the night to a close?
Yeah.
No, let's go on, Pete. Sorry, go on, mate. Go on.
No, I was just going to say we didn't get to talk about it at the beginning, but Judy made a really good point at the beginning of the show. I think with all the negativity that Paul talked about and some of his experiences early on, I think it's really important that the Newcastle pod stick together and that we work together. And I think, that for me, rather than the show aside, which I've really enjoyed being on tonight with Paul and the rest of you, it's really nice to share it with another podder as well. And it's really important that we stick together because there's so much negativity out there with the fan base, with the club, with people trying to get on top of each other and trying to be better than anybody else. I think we just need to work together, and there needs to be a little bit of solidarity. So for me, more than anything, I think this has been really, really big tonight to see us together, working together. It's been a great show. It's been really good to hear your views, Paul, on our show, and hopefully, we can return the favour and pop onto yours.
Definitely.
I did kind of tongue in cheek put on there about the Four Horsemen and the Loaded Boys getting together, versus each other. But I think it'd just be nice to have the Four Horsemen and the Loaded Boys on the show, just again doing what we've done tonight, just talking about NUFC and getting the views. I love John anyway. I've known John for a long time. Proud Luck I've watched obviously on your show, and I know Bazza as well because I've been on his show as well. So it'd be great for us to really sort of show that solidarity, should I say, and do something together.
It'll be hard scheduling around John, mind. Have you seen how many streams that guy does a week?
Oh, I know.
I take the mick out of him all the time, but his passion for what he does is just brilliant. It really is. I mean, for football, for just getting to know everybody, he's just such a down-to-earth, lovely, lovely bloke. And even, that I don't know whether you guys saw the Horseman show when he came on, when he had the allergic reaction. His eyes puffed up, and he looked like Frank Bruno, and the absolute hammer that he got on the show that night was incredible. But he took it all on. He just took it and he just laughed with everybody. It was fantastic, and that for me just said the kind of bloke that John is. I've known him a while now, and I just love him to bits. Barry and Peter as well. I mean, the fantastic guys, as you are as well. And I think all of us sort of sticking together, like you've just said, Pete, it just shows everybody else that, you can be as one, and it doesn't have to be competition, negativity, podcasters having to go each other. If anything, I learned my lesson a couple of months ago. But I think I've grown from that and I've learned from that. And, yes, I was having personal issues with mental health, etc. I didn't use that as an excuse. I came out and apologized, which is what I should have done. It shouldn't have happened. But I just want to get on with everybody, all the podcasters. We all want the same thing at the end of the day. We're all Newcastle fans, and
exactly
that's how it should be.
Exactly. We all say it. We all
should
say it
all get on each other's channels.
United.
In all of our channels, each of us individually say the same thing. We all care about the club. We all care about the club that we love. And we all say it, but at times there are individuals and people out there that don't back what they say up. And I think tonight, more than anything, has illustrated that we are backing up what we say, and that we are working together, and that we are, one of the same. And you know what? Just on your point about, you've said you had that moment and you had to apologize and you apologized and all the rest of it. But it takes a bigger person to admit that. And to turn around and say, my bad, I'm sorry, let's move on. Because people, and we see it on social media that know that they're in the wrong, but will continue to fight against it because they don't want to back down and admit that they're wrong. You did that and you apologized. And that for me shows that you're a bigger man than anybody else that I've seen on social media. So I properly respect that, Paul, 100%.
I mean, I didn't, I appreciate and thank you for that, Pete, but like I say, I didn't do it because I wanted people to, I did it because it was something I felt that I had to do. When I got up the next day, I realized that I'd got involved in something that I had nothing to do with at the end of the day. I've watched Steve and his shows for months on end, through the whole lockdown. And, I messaged him first, obviously, to apologize, and he got straight back to me. and we had a virtual handshake. It was all done and dusted, and that just says a lot for Steve as well, because he could have told us to get lost, but he didn't, and that's what kind of sort of made me think, right, enough's enough. This backstabbing and all of this competition, and it's rubbish. It made me sort of lights on kind of thing, as if to say, nah, everybody should be together. At the end of the day, we're all good people. We all, have a laugh together when we're on videos together, and that's how it should be. Even when we, get going to games again, meeting up with everybody and face to face and having having that unity. And then we all know that if one of us is having a bad time of it, we've got loads of people that will help us through it, and that's what I've learned without a doubt for the last couple of months, and that's what, like you said, Pete, everybody has to focus on now is just stopping all the backstabbing, because it's pathetic. We all need to just be as one, be on each other's shows, smile and laugh, even when things are terrible with our football club, which they are. It's always negative stuff about Newcastle United, but we try and pick people up. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Do you know what, Paul? That's a really good point you made there, and especially about the pub. Like, you get a lot of these people, don't you, who, troll and give abuse and whatever, but they're the same people who, if you walk past them in the street, they go, "Oh, yeah, you're right," and you'd have a gab. Or exactly. If you saw them in a pub, you'd have a bit of banter, or you'd go, "Oh, what was all that about in the match?" And you'd just talk normal. So you think, just because we're on a virtual platform, why not just be like that? Why not just act like we're in a pub and we're all just having a laugh?
Right. And I think the thing with that, though, Chris, me and Paul were talking about this on the tweets. The people that do troll and say things to the likes of Paul, to me, to Holly, to the girls off NUFC Matters that left, to Steve, to other people, they watch all the shows.
Yeah.
They watch them all because they've got the same vested interest, but they just don't want to admit it. And it's a shame. And I think, to I suppose to close out and take Paul's point, the important thing for me is, we all do separate pods. Will we be everybody's flavour? No. Some will be Marmite, some won't. But at the end of the day, as a whole heap of podcasts that share the greater want of Newcastle United just doing well and our club doing well, is we actually need each other. And I think it's dead easy over the year we've had with lockdowns and everything else, and Takeover, on, off, all the other stuff. There's actually some fantastic pods with loads of good people running them. And if we got it together and we got our heads together and, reached out to others like we've done to Paul, as we will do to other pods, Gallagher Shots, NUFC TV, Loaded Mag will reach out. We'll either get you on or we won't get you on. We're happy to come on anybody's show. We love chatting about Newcastle. So reach out. But I think, we need each other. And
the thing is, Martin, just one more thing, just like, when you think about it, that's the beauty of football, isn't it? Over the years, growing up, everybody has a different opinion on football. And that's the beauty of it. But when you have an opinion, there's no need for people to come and hammer you for having that opinion. Everybody's opinion over what should happen at Newcastle, or, who should be in the team or how we played, everybody is going to see it different. And that's the beauty about it. You don't have to be sort of nasty about it and say, "Oh, you're talking tosh." I mean, that guy yesterday was hammering me just for tweeting out newspaper reports. God forbid, just for newspaper reports, I got a load of shit for it. It's ridiculous.
No, it's crazy.
And
crazy.
It's just people's opinions. Just let them have it and move on.
Exactly.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, mate. Fully.
Right, lads. I think it's time to say goodbye. We could probably talk for another 3 hours and break our record of the 4 hour mark or something like that. But let's leave something for the next day. How about that?
I'm really, really appreciative, Paul. So listen, buddy, thanks very much. And
I'll be reaching out to you guys as well to come on my show shortly as well. So once the Euros are out the way and it's Newcastle talkers. I don't get the viewings for the Euros aren't as good as they are for when you get in the nitty gritty in Newcastle. It's as simple as that. More people want to see their own club. Exactly. And that's how I want it to be. So I'll be reaching out to you guys in the next few weeks.
No problem, mate. Anytime. Right. Daz.
Okay. I will. I just have to get back to that button section to do that. And good luck on Love Island, Paul. Shout me on.
Thank you very much. I'll never forgive you for this.
Exactly.
Good night.
Thanks again, Paul. Night, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Take care, guys.